Hi, everybody. Hello, everybody. Oh boy, another night, another fabulous night. Hello, Sandra and Tony Punch and Elle and Andrew Cruz, James B, Angelos, BMCC, Christopher Levens, and Something to Chew On, and End Times Art and Patricia White. Hi. Okay. Yeah, here we are again. Mama Rages. Thank you. Elle, thank you. Ray Clay. Hey, Ray Clay. Nice to see you. Space Indian. All right. Sith Trish. Hey. Silent Walk. All right. We're just going to dive right in to radar. And okay, take note. Extremely low frequencies. Southern California. Severe weather for Southern California. And well, maybe they'll move the rain to where it's needed, the fires that are taking place. And again, the nanobot precipitation soldiers right along the coast. And all they have to do is move them on up, right? And you got your supercells activated in Florida. What a surprise. Not at all. So, a new severe weather warning in Arizona. Actually, when I was looking at radar earlier and they didn't have one for Arizona, I was a little surprised. So, yep, you got your warning. All manufactured. So, California, Riverside, La Paz in Arizona, Riverside, California, San Bernardino. That's where the fires are. Well, let's see if they extinguish them. Wouldn't that be nice? That would be a first. That would be a first. So, I got this from Ray Clay, the Akron, the explosion that we saw in Ohio with the chemical plant. Well, there were more chemicals released.
Continuing now at 3 with 19 data journalist Jeff Slauson. Again, city officials saying air quality not a concern in one regard, asking perhaps maybe wear a mask if you're concerned in another regard. But we've learned even more chemicals than we knew yesterday are actually inside that building.
Yeah, and here's where the confusion comes for us as journalists, as reporters in the news here, right? They say that it is safe, that everything is okay. Even the air quality right now is at moderate. That's not necessarily as bad. To put this into context for you, when we were dealing with those severe Canadian wildfires last summer, we were hovering in the orange and red range. So the yellow range is really not that bad. However, you're going to be hearing from officials in just a minute here from that same press conference that Brittany was in attendance to, and they're suggesting that people wear masks. So somewhere there is a disconnect. Now, as Nicole mentioned there, we had known three of these chemicals that were in those fires potentially: propane, xylene, and methanol. Well, now we know that there were two additional ones: ethanol and ether. The thing is, we should have known this yesterday. Every company in Akron is required to basically say what potentially dangerous chemicals they have within the building. So we're not quite sure where these two other chemicals are coming from. I'm going to run through really quickly here some of the issues that we see with these chemicals. Propane is extremely flammable, can cause dizziness or asphyxiation and burns, injuries, frostbite, issues that can happen as a result of it. When it comes to xylene, highly flammable, toxic effects if inhaled. burns the skin and burns the eyes. Methanol, and these are all things that we knew the past couple of days, or at least the last day, highly flammable, toxic, and maybe fatal if inhaled. When it comes to the two that we are just learning about now, highly flammable, have environmental issues, and the runoff from these can be explosive. That is why there is still a concern with all of these. Now, this mostly considers with ethanol. When it comes to ether, there's actually other qualifiers for it. There's different subsections of ether. We don't know exactly what that is. We have reached out to Akron for some confirming information. But now with the introduction of these two new chemicals, that's potentially the reason why Akron is now saying if you're within that mile range, might be a good idea to wear a mask if you're going outside.
But the air, don't worry, moderate. Yeah, you're okay. Go out, breathe deep while you sleep. Who could possibly believe any of these government agencies at this point? Ohio, I'm so sorry that you have to live this. California, so sorry you have to live all of these fires. Wildfire reaches 1,000. No, well, there are two fires. So I'm not sure what fire this is. The line fire, there's a bear fire. Well, let's just listen.
Evacuation warnings are in effect after a wildfire in San Bernardino County has grown to more than 500 acres.
KTLA 5's Chip Yost live in Highland with the very latest on that. Chip?
Yeah, hey there, Rick and Cher. We have been witnessing a real battle here on this hillside just above this neighborhood. The road we're on is Central Vista here in Highland, and you see on the hillside there, that's the San Bernardino National Forest where this fire is burning close to this neighborhood, and we have been seeing some flare-ups all throughout the afternoon, and when the fire flares up, we have been seeing a lot of aerial resources come by, helicopters and planes making drops, trying to put those flare-ups out. And so far, thankfully, the firefighters have been holding their own with some of these flare-ups on the hillside. We actually see a helicopter coming right now. If you can see it over here to your left, that is actually probably coming from another hotspot area. There's a few different areas with hotspots. We've been seeing them come by all afternoon long. Right now, let's take a look at some video from a little earlier near Green Spot Road. Green Spot Road is where the command post is. It's at a park off of Green Spot Road. We were taking some video from down there where you could also see a lot of flare-ups. This fire, the line fire, started yesterday around 6 p.m. in the San Bernardino National Forest. It is now at close to 1,200 acres. About 1,180 acres is the latest number we got. It is at 0% containment. And while the heat has been a problem, it was around 112 degrees today. The one thing that has been good so far is the winds. The winds have not been that strong today, so the firefighters have been able to fight it and put them out without worrying about high winds.
And they have severe weather, these thunderstorms that are coming. So maybe they just know somebody who lives in this neighborhood and they don't want the fire to, although there are a lot of evacuation warnings and evacuation orders. Line fire has grown to now 3,800 acres, evacuation order in place.
The scorching temperatures are also a huge challenge as firefighters battle an out-of-control wildfire in the San Bernardino Mountains.
The line fire has now expanded, moving closer to Running Springs and Lake Arrowhead. It broke out on Thursday and has now burned more than 3,800 acres with no containment. That is more than tripled the size compared to yesterday. Evacuation warnings are currently in effect for neighborhoods in the East Highland area. That includes areas east of Church Street, north of Highland Avenue, east of Weaver Street, and north of Green Spot Road to the Iron Bridge. Officials say while the fire is mostly burning away from homes, those living in the evacuation warning zone should be prepared to move immediately if the fire shifts direction. Hello, I'm Mark Brown.
And this was 3 hours ago. They haven't, the evacuation warnings and orders are still in effect. All right. I see a lot throughout the day. I see a lot again when I do these lives. I'm amazed at how apathetic our most Americans. High heat leads to rolling power outages in Pasadena area. This is another area of California. High heat. Oh, we've got to shut off your power. There's no fire in this area. We're just going to shut off your power. And these rolling power outages are going to become more frequent, and they'll grow all over the country.
Now to breaking news. Thousands without power tonight in Pasadena during the record.
I'm not going to restart my computer because YouTube sucks. Let's try it again.
Breaking heat.
Yeah, let's go up to Gil Levis. He's overhead in Sky 5. Gil.
Rick and Cher, you're looking at the area here between the 210 freeway and the Rose Bowl. This is near Mountain and Lincoln, where we heard just a little while ago that 624 customers in this area alone were without power. Now, earlier today, Pasadena Water and Power was reporting equipment failure due to the high heat that we were experiencing, and they implemented rolling power outages throughout their coverage area. Now, at one point, they mentioned that there was 110 active outages and 1,208 customers that were impacted by the power outage. But now we're just hearing now that they have rectified the problems with their equipment, and they have restored power to everybody here in the Pasadena area. So that's really good news with the sweltering heat out here. At 5:30 this evening, the temperature was still at 107 degrees out here. But the good news is now they have restored all the power to all their customers here in Pasadena. That's the latest.
But this power outage actually went out last night, and it was still very hot. And guess what? Your power goes out, you can't turn on your air conditioning. So, and yes, Never Lose Truth, weather modification playlist. There is a video, and it's artificial heat waves. I believe the title starts with that. They can create these very high temperatures. And while it was circling and circling, and then it stopped and it didn't play, and the message was, just in case there were people that weren't watching the video, there was a message that came up. It was kind of faint, but restart, if it doesn't start playing, restart your device to get it to play. So no, that's just not a happening thing. Now, hi, Sweet Pea. Hello, beautiful. It's little one. Little one with something on you. What is that? Oh, twig. So, government, whether it's local, whether it's state, whether it's federal, they're stealing huge amounts of Americans' land. And you cannot use eminent domain for, private developers who are going to reap profits. Okay? But that's how eminent domain now is being used. When evil comes your way and it steals from you, you really need to fight it and push it back. And when you don't do that, wow, that evil book, boom, 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 boom. They come at you at a force that is so overwhelming that it gets to the point where you realize, okay, best you can do, help out your fellow man and woman. Try to reduce the suffering of a whole lot of people. That's the best you can do. Government announces 31 million acre land grab for solar farms.
Out where the Department of Energy is allowing up to 100 million for these massive energy transmission lines to run across our country.
The federal government can claim federal eminent domain and take our property from us.
That is a farmer in Russell County, and here's his concern: a proposed energy corridor. It is up to 5 miles wide, making room for massive power lines throughout the nation.
The Federal Power Act, which dates back to 1920, created the Federal Power Commission, now known as the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. This commission has the power to take land via eminent domain for the purposes of distributing energy across our country. This is how we have power lines. This is how we get oil pipelines drenched across the country. And many people have protested this for years. Native Americans have protested these pipelines going across their territories for years, but nobody has ever been able to do anything about it. The government says, hey, we want your land, it's for the public good, and we can take it. It might surprise you to know that the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission has plans to build out a green energy infrastructure across as much as 103 million acres across the United States. That's a lot of land. Let me break it down for you. The plan includes 10 corridors. There's the Delta Plains Corridor, which is going to be 4 to 18 miles wide, 645 miles long. So simple math, 2,580 square miles to 11,610 square miles. That's a maximum of 7.5 million acres. The Mid-Atlantic, 2 miles wide, 180 miles long. That's about 360 square miles or 230,400 acres. The Mid-Atlantic Canada, which is just 1 mile wide and 42 miles long, is 42 square miles, 26,880 acres. Midwest Plains, which is 5 miles wide, 780 miles long, so 3,900 square miles, 2.5 million acres. The Northwest, which is 0.3 miles wide and 515 miles long. I mean, this is really just a typical power line. It's 154.5 square miles, just under 99,000 acres. Mountain Plains Southwest, 10 to 100 miles wide, 540 miles long. That's about 5,400 to 54,000 square miles, 3.5 to 35 million acres. New York Mid-Atlantic, which is 4 miles wide, 12 miles long, 48 square miles, 30,000, almost 31,000 acres. New York, New England, which is 1 mile wide, 60 miles long, 60 square miles, so a little over 38,000 acres. Northern Plains, 10 to 50 miles wide, 300 miles east to west, 400 miles north to south. That's 7,000 to 35,000 square miles, 4.5 million to 22.4 million acres. The Plains Southwest, 5 to 100 miles wide, 345 miles east to west, 220 miles north to south, anywhere between 2,825 to 56,500 square miles, 1.8 million to 35.9 million acres is what it would take to build that. So the total of this massive vision of the United States government is about anywhere between 23,000, which is, you know, if they just did narrow strips, to some of these big strips that they want, 161,000 or almost 162,000 square miles. That's up to 103.2 million acres of land. And you've had cases across the country. People don't connect the dots, but there have been cases across the country of eminent domain, largely impacting farmers, large landowners, where these energy companies are coming in and taking large swaths of land for this new energy corridor. And if people don't want to sell or don't want to give them, you know, a right of way, they basically just take the land and pay them whatever they feel it's worth, you know, because the government is really kind of the ones working on this project with them. And you guys tell me whether you think that this is some sort of eminent domain case or if it's to make large corporations more profitable. But
to make large corporations more profitable, I've seen so many eminent domain cases, and they're literally stealing land for private developers. Yeah. And Wyoming also is fighting the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, because they too want to put up solar farms. A whole lot of these solar farms in Wyoming. Yeah, it's hard to live when you know that the evil criminals are just out and about having a good old time while so many people suffer at their hand. So there are also wildfires going on in Peru. There were, I think, they've been extinguished, hopefully, in Ecuador, Bolivia, this one here in Peru. And they had a lot, Ecuador had a lot of help from Peru to put out their fires. So now they come back to Peru and work on their own fires.
¡Pase, pase! ¡Pase, pase, pase, pase! Cuidado, 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 las piedras.
¿Allá alimenta ya? Sí, es bastante, vaya.
¡Salgan, salgan!
Perdí un promedio de 2,000.
What say you? When you look at these fires, do they look like natural wildfires? Because they do not to me. The typhoon that hit China, hit Vietnam, Japan, yeah, bad. These winds manufactured scalar weapons, and boy, they can take out a whole lot of infrastructure, but also people. It's
Oh. Incendio acá.
Evacuees were anxious and afraid as they hastily left their homes, unsure of what awaited them. Many struggled to believe a storm could cause such vast destruction so quickly.
well, look into weather warfare. There you go. So, if you want to look at more of this, this was a very intense storm. You know, blew out windows of apartment buildings, trees all down all over the place, cars flipped. No, this is not even hurricanes, which if we had a very rare hurricane that was very like a category 5, then we might see some of this. But now we're seeing just regular storms. Typhoon, actually, that's what they call them in Asia. We call them hurricanes. But we're seeing them, these tractor trailers flipped on their side just from regular thunderstorms now. People need to question, how did the weather become so fierce? Please, just open your mind. Those of you who believe climate change, open your mind to maybe factor in all of the technology that man has and has been using to create this kind of destructive weather, just consider it, you know? Yeah. And the hypocrites, you gotta love them. No, you don't.
It is time for our generation-defining great works. How about stopping climate change before we destroy the planet and getting millions of people involved, manufacturing and installing solar panels? We get that our greatest challenges need global responses too. No country can fight climate change alone or prevent pandemics. Progress now requires coming together, not just as cities or nations, but also as a global community. It is time for our generation-defining great.
That yacht is Mark Zuckerberg's. Okay? You really think he cares about the climate? $300 million. It's 387 feet, powered by 4 gigantic diesel engines. And you hear all of them clapping and clapping and clapping. Okay. Yeah. You can't get anywhere if the majority of the population are believing all of the lies. And then those who try to educate them with the truth, when they have such a closed mind that they won't even entertain having a conversation with you because you're crazy. Those who do that and behave like that are extremely immature. And they don't understand, or they're not getting the ripple effect of how they operate in life. So we're back to the migrant situation, because it's a very bad situation, and it's getting a whole lot worse. Okay? A whole lot worse. Well, we're going to start in Spain. Look at this. A North African asylum seeker in Spain. Here, look at this, what he's doing. God. But he's in here, back, slapping people, punching people. And boom. Okay. That woman has headphones on. Perhaps you don't shut off your hearing so that you can be more alert to what's happening around you. Absolutely heartbreaking moment. Springfield, Ohio. Resident tells mayor she can't take it anymore. Haitian migrants are squatting on her lawn.
Noel? Thank you. I live at 426 Northwestern Avenue. Miss Skinner, who I'm not trying to put on the spot, is my neighbor.
Just talk to me, ma'am. Thank you so much.
And I'm done with what I'm seeing. It is so unsafe in my neighborhood anymore. I have the homeless that were trying to camp out, and I have made concessions with them, and I try to help them the best I can to keep them from trying to squat on my property. But it is so unsafe. I have men that cannot speak English in my front yard screaming at me, throwing mattresses in my front yard, throwing trash in my front yard. And I can't. Look at me, I weigh 95 pounds. I couldn't defend myself if I had to. My husband is elderly, and last night, after living in this home for 45 years, he said, Noel, guess what? It's time to pack up and move. He said, we can't do this anymore. He said, it's killing both of us mentally. I don't understand what you expect of us as citizens. I mean, I understand they're here under temporary protected status and you're protecting them. And I understand that our city services are overwhelmed and understaffed. But who's protecting us? If we're protecting them, who's protecting me? I want out of this town. I am sorry. Please give me a reason to stay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. The protected status is fraud. It's just outright fraud committed by your governments. They should not be here. They've broken the law. ICE should be deporting them. Immigration law should be enforced. But it's not. And you have an awful lot of these local government officials allowing their own residents, who they should be representing, to have to suffer the consequences. This should not be happening, but it's happening deliberately. And the more it goes on, the more people get destroyed. The more it just spreads and spreads. Governor, so that bill in California, right? So I didn't think it was 150,000 that they were going to be giving to illegal immigrants for a down payment on a home. But then I thought, California, the homes are so expensive in California. Maybe it is 150,000. The state legislature, both houses passed it, just waiting for Newsom's signature, but he vetoed the bill. Why? Oh, because he was getting an awful lot of backlash.
Okay, now to a bill stirring debate nationwide. California lawmakers passed legislation that would help undocumented immigrants get home loans. The governor, though, vetoed it. NBC Bears' Jocelyn Moran joins us now with more on the governor's rationale for that. And Jocelyn, I know you also spoke to a realtor who actually has clients that could have benefited from this type of a loan.
Yeah, right, Jess. And she's now having to break the news to them. The California Dream for All program gives down payment assistance to qualifying first-time home buyers. This bill would have allowed undocumented immigrants to be considered for that program. But tonight, that is no longer a possibility.
In the last couple of weeks, I've been getting so many calls.
Lizbeth Alarcon is a Bay Area realtor who often helps undocumented immigrants buy their dream homes. She says some of her clients were excited about Assembly Bill 1840.
They were waiting and hoping that this would kind of
Of course they were excited. I get a free home. Oh, wow. Yeah. Look, you don't have to be an American to understand how unbelievably insane are a whole lot of our politicians. Okay, a bill like this. Now, they get the free phones and the free housing and the free education and the free medical care and free money. Now free homes. Okay? This comes about when the population sits around doing nothing. Okay? But apparently there was a lot of backlash, and Newsom said, I better not sign this, not yet. But who in their right mind could think that that is good, that that's a good piece of legislation? Okay. New York. Yeah. Venezuelans taking over.
Señora, ¿qué firma? ¿Qué firma? ¿Qué firma? Yo soy libre de hacer lo que yo quiera. Paguen impuestos.
This is when the police were shutting down an awful lot of the, are we going to call them vendors? They're not vendors. They're illegal migrants selling whatever it is that they can. And this, I believe, is in Queens. Okay.
Okay, now we're doing too much. Now we're doing too much. Now I'm taking
Están poniendo perrones los peruanos.
A lo mejor lo mío es el narcotráfico. Y yo aquí queriendo chambear honradamente a la verga.
And where did they get all of these goods? Right? Where did they get them to sell? This is real disrespectful to the people of New York. Well, it sure is. This is the Venezuelans.
Listen. They all parked right here like they at the beach, my nigga. This the FDR, my nigga. Oh, they go up there. Yeah, we in the FDR. See the FDR highway. Let's go inside, see what's good, man. Somebody might know me. I can't get that body. Allá vamos, estamos aquí. Aquí estamos. Aquí estamos, tío. Go. How about the FDR highway?
It's over for New York unless we get Trump back. It's over for New York, regardless of who's in the White House. It's over for all of us, regardless of who gets in the White House. Lawmaker wants to introduce bill allowing cooperation from law enforcement and ICE. Okay. All right. I can't believe that we are actually this far gone. Okay. If anybody comes into the country illegally, ICE captures them and deports them, immigration law. But with all of the sanctuary cities that were cropping up all over the country, oh, I guess now governors and mayors, someone gave them the authority to write their own law, federal law. That was just usurped from Congress, and they just changed immigration law all by themselves. That's not the way this country was supposed to be working. Okay? Sanctuary city. And these illegal migrants, you can't arrest them. They're protected. That's their protected status, no matter what they do. Okay. So now, Colorado, all right. Now they have to introduce a bill allowing the cooperation with law enforcement and ICE, immigration agents. See, to me, all of this is just so foreign to how this country is supposed to be operating, and so foreign to me, so far away from how it was supposed to be operating, that I'm amazed that Americans, I guess they just don't know, right? They don't know how their government is supposed to be operating. Even the basics. It's very frustrating, to say the least.
Says he wants to introduce a bill that would allow for more cooperation between local police and federal immigration authorities. He thinks ICE can help solve some of the violence in Aurora.
That is the latest in a week that has seen Aurora pushed into the national spotlight following reports of a criminal gang from Venezuela taking over apartment buildings. Started late last week when a former resident released this video showing armed men gathered outside and inside an apartment. She says these are the gang members who had seized control of the building. A court filing obtained by your investigator, Brian Moss, says the same exact thing is happening at yet another building just a few miles away. A few days later, current residents and community leaders held a rally saying their building is safe. They say the biggest threat to them is a landlord who ignores their maintenance request.
I heard, I haven't verified it. If anybody can verify what I'm about to say, please do so. But all of these protesters paid. And apparently, I think the person said they were paid by government officials. You can't quote me on that, but of course they're paid.
And keeps their property in disarray. Well, there has been a lot of conflicting reports and misinformation about what's really happening as the issue now is in the national political spotlight.
Some people say it's worse than the city is letting on, while others say the problems are not new. Michael Abeda is one of your reporters that covers Aurora and is digging into what's real and what's not.
And are we going to listen to a mainstream media reporter tell us what's real and what's not? But just this whole, like, okay, let's introduce a bill to, well, reverse the usurpation of Congress's duty that the mayor took to make it a sanctuary city and then violate immigration law. And now let's just reverse that. Because that's essentially what it's about. So Black women in Chicago demolished Democrats. I have to say that, yes, the Black women in Chicago are the most passionate fighters against this immigration. They're not afraid to be called crazy. They're not afraid. So many, and I'm amazed, even in the chat, there are people. If you present somebody who's very angry, and everybody should be very angry, they go, well, what is this woman, psychotic? Wow. That to me suggests that an awful lot of people have normalized this incredibly evil system, and they don't care too much, about all the people who are being destroyed. So let's listen to these women.
Man, the people of Chicago are going through a lot with this illegal migration chaos. So apparently a leftist organization went around the city of Chicago and posted these flyers that says, Black people hating on immigrant, probably with the intention of starting something that obviously cannot be productive. Well, these ladies are not having it, and God bless them for their courage. They care about their city.
Here's the bottom line right here. You don't hang no signs about Black people hating on immigrants, because Black people ain't got no reason to hate on no immigrants. We everything y'all are and then some. Let me tell you something. You get them signs down. Anytime that Alderman Lawson and just Silverstein and what's that other one? can sit up here and talk about how they should get a hate crime bill because swastiniks was in Ziploc bags in their community. They hung this in our community. We want it off them poles. We want that to be the beginning of a hate crime. And that organization, which is a white liberal organization, like in the words of Malcolm X, who told us what? That the white liberal is the worst enemy to the black man. And it is, coming up in here, acting like y'all representing some social justice, when all along, all you're doing is trying to use black people to find a reason to make some money. Let me tell y'all something over there. We're done. The Democratic Party is done. You ain't gonna mess with us like this no more. I'm telling you what I'm telling you. Trump gonna come in here and gonna clean it up. I'm telling y'all, the ones that got a righteous heart, you leave the Democratic Party. Do just like RFK Jr., just do like that Tulsa lady. You better get up out the Democratic Party. Save yourself, save your families, save your dignity, save your jobs, and save your seat. Because if y'all don't, we coming for your seats. We ain't taking this no more. We ain't taking no disrespect from a bunch of people who have broken to the country and now have completely broke the city, have completely broke the country, have completely disgraced the United States of America. America is a disgrace. And for us, oh my God, for the solution, you give us a fake, black, cackling hand of a candidate with a vice president that's talking about he want to put tampons in the boys' bathroom. Ain't nobody dealing with this. The number one function of a president is to be the commander-in-chief. You tell me anything about a Kamala Harris that looked like she could protect this country after y'all done sat up here and let it get overridden with a bunch of illegals. Y'all done sat up here and put America's hands in all kind of wars. And you telling me a tampon man that ran from duty don't even know what his rule was, Kamala Harris, who don't know what race she is, gonna protect this country? The devil is a lie. Y'all better get them signed.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Okay, first of all, before I start speaking, I would appreciate it if the alderman would listen to me. I'm here today because I'm a resident of Hyde Park. I've been there 50 years. And I came to present to you a result of the policies that the mayor is pushing down here and that the city council is sanctioning. This is what was posted in my community this weekend. Black people hating on immigrants. This is an anti-Black hate crime. It's inflammatory. It's scary. It's intimidation. This should not be going on. A white supremacist white man posted this on every light post from 51st and Lake Park all the way down to 55th and Lake Park. We went over to try to take them down. We were not able to take them down. The community is angry. He didn't say some Black people. He didn't say a few. He said Black people. That means every Black person in the city of Chicago, because it's all over the city now. People are angry. I am angry. I've lived in this community 50 years and I've never had to experience anything like this. The residents in my condominium are afraid to come out. This is what's going on in this city. I'm not afraid to come out. I'm not going to be locked up in my condo because of the policies of this city government. This is what you're doing. You're promoting hate. You're promoting violence. We are a target because of your policies. Now, let me tell you something. The young people are angry. You are creating a problem in this city. And when the blood starts to flow down the streets of the city of Chicago, it's going to be on your hands. because we're not going to stand by and allow you to have our children slaughtered, our women be attacked, our children be attacked. This is because of what you're doing. I'm an 80-year-old woman. I have lived through the violence of America because of the racism and white supremacy. It is ugly. I survived it. But don't sit down here and become so arrogant and think that it won't come to your doorsteps. I am tired of coming down here saying the same things. The same things. I come here peacefully this morning to exercise my civic responsibility. What happens to me downstairs? I said I cannot stand long. I went into one of the offices down there that was empty and took a chair. I said, I'll bring it back. What did the woman do? She comes out and she brings the police over. And I said to the police, if I have done something wrong, arrest me. We can't walk as black.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis, for your comments. Thank you.
That's just sad. Now, in case you're not aware of it, or maybe you forgot, let me remind you of exactly what's happening in Chicago. Please watch this.
Now to NBC5 investigates, which for months has followed the money trail tied to Chicago's migrant mission. Total spending now tops more than $400 million.
Now, despite the creation of a city spending website, it's still not exactly clear where all of that money has gone. In this follow-up report, investigative reporter Bennett Haberly uncovers some new information not shared by the city.
Consider these numbers. More than 6,000 people still live in city-run migrant shelters. That means costs are still adding up. Since August of 2022, the city of Chicago has spent more than $400 million, according to the city's spending website. Nearly $253 million went to one private company, Kansas-based Favorite Healthcare Staffing, which staffs the shelters. Another $76 million went to Equitable Social Solutions. That company partnered with another called ReloShare, which helped identify and sign lease agreements with property owners of the buildings that eventually became the migrant shelters.
That's where a number of those leases are.
But when we asked the city months ago for copies of these lease agreements, we were given just 9 out of 27.
If there are public dollars involved, shouldn't the public know where they flow?
100%.
Back in March, Alderman Andre Vasquez, the chair of the City Council's Migrant Committee, told us aldermen themselves have had a hard time accounting for all the spending.
That's still the question that's out there.
When we attempted to ask Mayor Brandon Johnson about this at the time, he said this.
Again, we're meeting you right where you are. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you.
We pressed the mayor about this last week and asked if he would consider adding the information to the city's website. He said this.
We have given an accurate account of how dollars have been spent.
That's it. Is there anything that would preclude your administration from sharing that level of detail?
There's no information that has been kept from you.
Johnson then reiterated talking points he's made before, how he's renegotiated contracts to save taxpayer money, and how Congress has failed to provide additional financial relief. He also doubled down, incorrectly stating that all spending information is available.
That information is available to you, sir.
Not all of it, though, is, sir. I mean, that's
Can you
the point.
give me a specific example of what's not available?
The Ogden shelter in the West Loop, that's what is spelled out in this lawsuit, that they get $150,000 just for being the property owner per month. Nowhere is that available on the city's spending website. My question, again, is simply, is there anything that would preclude you from including that level of detail? You guys have said you're transparent. Why not show it?
All of the information related to the spending to this mission is available.
That's where we left it. We have checked over and over again to see if additional information was added to the city's website. If it is, we'll let you know.
What a mess, man. But we all know what the solution is to this problem. Stop putting Democrats in office.
Sorry. This was also going on during the Trump years. This was going on. This has been an issue that never, ever got solved. It's going on during the Bush years and Clinton years and Daddy Bush years. It's been going on forever. Republican, Democrat, they're both responsible. How many Republicans have you heard come out and say, what's happening is treasonous and it's in violation of immigration law and we need to enforce that law? How many have you heard say that? Okay. So, And the anti-white agenda, this is an anti-American agenda. She's not white. They're killing off an awful lot of the Black communities where an awful lot of these illegal immigrants are now residing. And let me see if I can find it. Oh, where is it? This woman talking about, oh, I didn't bring it up. She was talking about how the illegal Venezuelans have taken over the delivery on DoorDash. She was a Black woman, and she was saying that they're here, they're taking our jobs, the gig jobs, and no one is doing anything to stop it. Illegal immigrants are finding cars and doing the DoorDash. Okay, so it's bad. Now here, this is in Alabama City Council meeting about the Haitian immigrants, that an awful lot, then it's not just this one place in Alabama, but other areas of Alabama.
I have a couple of questions about the legal immigrants that we have come to our city. I would like to know how they were vetted, and I got a couple of questions about that. How they were vetted. Was everyone vetted? Where were they located? It's said that they have work visas, but the work visas show that the company that they work for is not it's not a factory that we have here. So, you know, that's one of my concerns. Who is heading up watching over this situation? What information can you give me about this situation? I'm just concerned.
So unfortunately, Sharon, we don't have any information to provide to you. We don't have any information. We just don't have any information on it. That's and I don't want to speak on something and misinform people, and I don't want to say the wrong thing. But as of right now, we don't have any information. We just know that they are here with us.
And the only thing I can add to that concern of yours and a lot of people's is that, you know, this is above us. We found out when everybody found out that they showed up the first time I saw them. They came to our church and wanted to come to Sunday school and church with us, and that's the first time I knew they were in town. And there was 3, then 6, and 8, and they're the ones at church with me are great people. They want to come into church, have an ask for a thing, and worship and go home. That's the only interaction I've had with them. And I know there's more than that here in town, but the only things we know is they're here. We can't, you know, that they're, I wouldn't say a private citizen, but they're coming in just as you would go into another town and buy a house and live there. They're doing the same thing. We can't ask them or watch them like a specific criminal or anything if they haven't committed a criminal act. So we know they're here. You know, we hope that they can provide to our economy and do things that help Silicaca, but as far as knowing how they got here or what their deal is, we're left out of the loop just as you. That goes way high up. And if you haven't noticed, even some of our state representatives have reached out to their DC representatives like Ben Robbins and asking for help and reasoning of why they're here, so that they don't even know at the state level.
But there's no reason for us to wonder why or to investigate. No crime has been committed. I mean, they're here working, like Ashley said, they're, you know, adding to the economy. So as of right now, that's really all we have to say. Is actually more than what I thought we had to say. But
I have one thing. I have reached out to state and federal leaders to try to get more information, and you know, everybody's kind of in the same boat. I've also reached out to other leaders across the state to see, you know, to seek information as well.
And my question is, if they're being busted and they're brought in here by vans, how come the city knows nothing about it?
we don't know anything about that, Ms. Easton. That's just we've seen this stuff on Facebook and social media just like you have. We have no knowledge of that.
Why haven't you reached out to find out?
Ms. Deason, with all due respect, have you, I'm gonna ask this and with all due respect, has anybody seen anybody being bused in here? Has anybody seen any bus coming here dropping people off?
I have someone that told me that.
I know, but it's hearsay, but that's the thing. People are posting stuff on social media and people are saying things that they don't know anything
I
about.
realize it.
Yeah, nobody has seen any of those things happen.
I realize
Yeah.
that.
No crime has been committed. There has been no reason.
But I also went by where they're living, some of them. And they're just sitting around outside, they're not working.
But what's wrong with that though, Ms. Deason? What's wrong with them sitting outside where they're paying your rent?
In the middle of the day, they would be working if they came here.
But we can go anywhere, Ms. Deason,
The
and see
whole
people
thing
sitting on their
was
porch not working.
They supposedly came here to work.
I worked night shifts for a while, I mean, you never know where they're working or what hours they're working.
And I wasn't, and I wasn't gonna comment on this, but I am now, because I feel like I need to. I wanna welcome anybody to Silicata that wants to come to Silicata. Anybody that's here that's, paying lodging, buying gas, buying food, paying rent, utilities, whatever, we wanna welcome them here. Because if you're here spending money, whether you're working or even if you're not working, you have to be here spending money. So on behalf of Tiffany, Councilmember, Nix, I wanna welcome you because if you're here stimulating.
Yeah, I want to welcome you if you're buying gas and, you're spending money in this area. This idea that they're not working, what kind of money do they have? Well, taxpayer money. And these residents of this area in Alabama are concerned about illegal immigrants coming into their community, and not one of them can answer any question. And this guy says, or somebody else said, I've reached out to state and federal, officials. No one is answering any questions. That also is very concerning. And then they make up, reasons for their residents. Oh, you should feel safe because they're just sitting outside. Well, everybody just sits outside, but they're here. That was the ostensible reason. They're here because they're supposed to be working. Oh, but they're not working. So what's going on? And if they remain not working, and then some guy, well, maybe they have a night shift, but they don't know. Okay. So they're just throwing out what could be possible. And that doesn't cut it. The residents are not feeling safe. Okay. But it's not just this area of Alabama. It's also Athens, Alabama. Or Athens. Is it Athens? I think it's Alabama. Might be Georgia.
New at 5, more concerns over migrants in a North Alabama community. Tuesday, city council members listened to several people express issues with an increase of migrants in Athens. This included a woman who apologized for her comments during the last city council meeting. Still, Amanda Schulte focused her concerns on alleged Haitian students attending Athens city schools.
What I'm concerned about is that we have those 22 Haitian children in a matter of 3 months in our overcrowded schools as it is. Also at a federal level, under the Biden administration, there's been like over 300,000 kids that have been reported missing that they're not keeping track of. Some of the public school teachers have said that these children are being dropped off from Border Patrol here in Athens with, quote, family members. And so who's watching them and tracking them?
She also claimed the city's local government purposely brought immigrants to Athens for federal funding. She stressed her concerns are not related to race and instead are focused on the legality of migrants in her community.
Yeah, and if, there are counties or towns that bring in migrants, then federal funding will come about. And a lot of these city council people, town council people, they don't care about the residents, the students. They only care about the money because an awful lot of that money gets into pockets and doesn't reach, those that it's supposed to reach. And we know that. So, disarm citizens now. This is Dark Waters. I will link below. It's 5 minutes. Maybe I'll just play it out. But yeah, taking away the guns? Yeah, no problem, right? Now, let me play this first. And I do remember, I don't know if she's talking about the hotel owner that I actually saw a video on. This was probably a year ago. I don't know if it's the same owner she's talking about, but yeah.
Do y'all remember a couple years back when this lady called into a radio station? She was a hotel owner. She was boarding migrants, and she said she was offered well above what she would have gotten every night. So she said yes. And then they asked her if she would start accepting freight, and she said yes. She just had to keep it in a locked room. And when the freight came in, there were these big, long wooden boxes with slats and color-coded locks. And then she started getting smaller packages. Those were addressed to specific migrants, and they had color-coded keys. She said that at some point she did get an opportunity to look in those boxes, and they are exactly what you think they are. Take from that what you will, but I think we should all go back and take a listen. Do y'all remember a couple years back when this...
Guns. Okay, so once again, a school shooting. Well, don't be like surprised that suddenly come out talking about gun control legislation. It's so predictable.
Hey man, listen to me. I don't know if y'all been keeping up with the news, but they just showed video footage of somebody just straight up running into a Colorado jewelry store, pistol whipping women, first of all. First thing they showed. And then, just recently we had this school shooting. And, you can't be talking about school shootings because YouTube get all sensitive and bada bing, bada boom. But here's what I need you to understand. Right at the time when they done opened up the gates for all their hordes of illegal criminals to come into this nation. Right at the point in time when they done did it, we have a shooting. And so now they're coming out calling for a ban to the AR-15 rifle and a national red flag law where nobody can get a gun. I want you to understand something, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, black, brown, yellow, purple, white. Need you to understand something? These communists, this is what they are. They want you disarmed and docile. And they want to jump on top of your back. And they want to take you. No matter if you male or female, they want to mount you and take you. And if you don't see it yet, if you can't see it, if it ain't dawned on you, oh, just so happens today there's a mass shooting, huh? And the Kamala campaign been losing for 2.5 weeks. And the narrative change is children getting shot. That's how the narrative changed on today. Remember, the narrative this morning was set with Tim Walz, his brother, coming out and endorsing Donald Trump. So now all of a sudden the narrative changed and we're talking about guns and taking everybody gun. You need to hear it for yourself. I don't think people understand how wicked these individuals are.
We continue to call on Congress to do something, We need universal background checks. We need ban assault weapons.
We need universal background checks. So the dudes who just robbed all the people in Colorado, did they have a background check for that gun that they got? Did they have it? How about the guys who were all on the news in Colorado that was taking over the apartment complexes? Do you think any of them people getting a damn background check? Think any one of them some bitches got a background check? Oh, wait. Hold on. If I'm not mistaken, didn't one of them have an AR-15 rifle? That boy is an illegal alien. How he got an AR-15? I'm pretty sure he went and lined up and got his background check and went to the store and said, hey, ¿qué pasó? I'm illegal. I came to buy me an AR-15. Yeah. He went right there to Dick's Sporting Goods and bought his AR-15.
And high-capacity magazine.
Oh, yeah, he got that high-capacity magazine there, too.
Require safe storage of firearms. Invest in violence prevention programs and pass a national red flag law.
I'm wondering how any of this is going to deter a person to decide they're going to go walk into a school and shoot somebody. You can't even deter people from crossing the damn border, but you want to try and get a red flag law up. That's what everybody got. You can't stop nobody from coming across the border. These people are crazy, communists.
Enough is enough.
Yes, enough communism is enough.
And I cannot say this.
And look at this fake empathy. Enough is enough. With my fake curly black girl hair and my extra makeup. Let me tell you something. You see a woman with makeup on like that and you wipe that makeup off, it's a whole nother damn person under there. That's a whole nother individual under that makeup.
Enough, which is enough, is enough. We cannot allow this to happen in our communities.
You know, the craziest thing is we can't allow the guns in the community. But what's his lady name? Corinne? What's this girl name? She looked like one of them Garbage Pail Kids. But Garbage Pail Kid, Negroes been getting shot in their community forever. In fact, I submit to you that we go uptown right now. It's about 14 of them have been shot this month. So, what are we exactly upset about? Is it because children got shot? Is it because black people getting shot? Is it because what exactly was we upset about? Or is it because Venezuelans are getting guns and robbing everybody and doing drive-bys? What exactly are we going to get the national red flag law for? Other than just to take everybody's guns so y'all can do whatever y'all want to do with them? Man. I was born at night, but not last night, shorty. We ain't rocking with none of this.
Yeah. Okay. Of course they come out with all of, it's the same old, repeat, rinse, wash, yeah, spin. It's the same old dirt that comes out of the wash. Wow. And still so many Americans just are like, la-di-da, living in a reality that is so twisted that, well, here, what do you see? What do you see here? They're still coming in. Border Patrol helping them out, getting their bags. God, are we in deep shit? Up the creek with no paddles. How about the children still coming in?
¿Y usted, señorita? ¿Con quién viene? ¿Viniste sola, mija? ¿Y tu mami? Ya está en los Estados Unidos. ¿Tú de dónde eres, mi reina?
De Guatemala.
¿De Guatemala? ¿Cuánto tiempo llevas viajando, nena? ¿Mucho tiempo? ¿No? ¿Como cuántos días?
Como 10 días.
¿Como 10 días? ¿Y te trataron bien? ¿No te ha pasado nada? ¿Todo está bien, mi reina? ¿Segura? ¿A quién extrañas más? ¿A quién quieres ver? ¿A tu mami? ¿En dónde está tu mami? ¿En qué parte? ¿No sabes? ¿En qué estado? ¿Dónde está el papelito que no te dieron la dirección? ¿Me la puedes enseñar, por favor? ¿Quién tiene la dirección de la niña? Me rompe el corazón ver esto. Sácalo. Rómpelo. Sácalo.
So, are we to believe that this little girl left Guatemala and came across the border and what? Are we to believe that adults are helping her get to her mother and she's safe? Yeah, these poor little kids. I can't stand what's happening. It's really, and look at what's happening. This is happening in all Western countries. Money goes to the migrants. This 77-year-old homeless Canadian resident, a woman with her. Okay.
This is where we're living.
In this tent lives 77-year-old Judy Howe with her 80-year-old partner George, a situation she never imagined to be in. She says they had an apartment in Halifax before the building was sold and to be torn down. After that, they went to Ontario to be with George's dying mother, but they couldn't afford to stay there and chose to return to Halifax.
It's not home. You know, it's not a place you can cook a meal for yourself. You can take a shower. We go up to the Y on Park Street here. I always get lost trying to find my way out. And that's where we shower at. And you can go there every day if you want, you know. And thank God they have that service. But it's not where I want to be. I go to bed crying at night. At night I go to bed crying and I pray to God, asking Him to get me out of here. I need to be out of here.
With the couple's deteriorating health, a volunteer street navigator is desperate to get them into affordable housing.
Judy is the age that my mom would be if she was still alive. And it breaks my heart to see that people who have been born and raised in Canada and Nova Scotia are now having to face this. They were offered a pallet in the new seniors pallet village on Atlantic Street, but Judy does not feel safe having to be in her own pallet because they're only singles.
The Minister of Community Services says he is aware of this situation and staff are working on finding options.
So if we want these individuals to be successful, we want them to feel safe and dignified. They need to stay together and they need a place where they feel comfortable.
Stein says that she has reached out to different organizations to help. So far, she's been unsuccessful in finding accommodations for them. Until then, Judy is concerned about her safety at the encampment and the change in weather.
Okay. Do Canadians need to be screaming, demanding, especially for the seniors, to have housing? I am blown away. Blown away that this is the condition of the elderly in an awful lot of Western nations, certainly ours, but still the people consider themselves good. This is not good. This is the manifestation of evil, with a whole lot of people sitting back, allowing it to happen. And yeah, for all of those who have lost jobs, good luck finding another one, because more massive layoffs are coming. And how this is going to deteriorate to a point where a whole lot of Americans are going to be stealing in order just to survive, because we don't have community anymore.
I heard someone say that the economy is great right now. I have one question for you. Can I live in your world where the economy is great? Because we're struggling over here.
Just a couple of thoughts. Inflation is not just hitting you personally, it's actually happening to everyone, and especially small business. People also act flabbergasted by the idea that like you're just trying to make money off of me. Bestie, that's business. Yes, I am. And lastly, I'm not holding a gun to your head making you purchase this. So if it's not in your budget, that doesn't offend me, but don't tell me that I need to change my strategy when I can't even pay myself yet because you want a hot chocolate.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Hope, and this is Hope in the Desert. Today, we got to be talking about this crazy backwards economy. We're talking about no more money. Where's the money at? How businesses are being affected by inflation and how that's translating over to people getting laid off, businesses shutting down, and then how that's going into this overall softening job market, which then is leading to these crazy side hustles that we're going to get into as well, and what's going on in the gig economy. So go ahead, sit back, relax. Go ahead, get some water if you got some. If you got coffee, if you're a coffee drinker, or tea if you like tea. Whatever it is, go ahead and relax. We got us a good one. Let's go ahead and get into it right now.
You know, the cost of living is getting out of hand. This whole inflation thing is just getting way, way, way out of hand. It's ridiculous. Everything's gone up. Groceries, property tax. I went to renew my sticker for my plate. It's $151 now. It used to be $131. Insurance, car insurance, health insurance, you name it has gone up. But you know the one thing that hasn't gone up for the average household is the income. It hasn't gone up whatsoever. And I can tell you, listen, for example, we'll go shopping for the house. We'll go to the big box stores, you know, the Sam's and the Costco's. And then during the week, we still have to go to the regular, you know, grocery stores. That's some things. And I'm sitting here telling myself, I don't know how people do it, you know. And I own a business, right? A semi-truck business. And, you know, you're barely making it. Owning a business. Our business, my business that I'm in, trucking, the rates have gone down significantly. The rate for repairs have went up. At the end of the day, this is getting out of hand. It needs to stop.
Why aren't we talking about the fact that restaurants are all slow all over the country, especially right now in Southern California, are extremely slow? Like, and I'm not talking about those restaurants that are like mostly alcohol based. I'm talking about like restaurants. Everyone's like, oh, it's because it's holiday just happened. Nah, restaurants are getting slower. I think it has to do with the economy. The other day, I went grocery shopping, and for one meal, it was like $70 for home for like 5 people. And then I went to go put gas yesterday to get to work. and gas was $6.20 a gallon. Like, I get it. I think that's one of the reasons restaurants are slow. Like, no one wants to come out. I mean, no one can afford to put what, 2, 3, 4 gallons of gas at $6 a piece. Something needs to change, or restaurants are gonna start failing, and people are gonna stop going out because inflation is killing everything.
I think an amazing gauge to go ahead and see how our economy is doing is off of small business owners. Now, of course, we're going to go ahead and get into the larger business companies and everything in the next section of the video, but we're talking about the small business owners who are actually the backbone of America. This is what we go and judge off of the middle class. Those people who are able to make and create little small and pop businesses and jobs and things like that, when they're struggling and their costs of supplies and everything for restaurants and stores, corner stores, when all of those go up in price to supply these things, now they have to increase their prices. And when they have to increase their prices, they're getting less customers. And when they're getting less customers because people are like, I can't afford to pay this, they have to start laying people off. So then that's where it starts leading into the layoff, into the softening job market, into inflation. All of these things contribute. And so it's definitely important to go ahead and get their perspectives of small business owners and how they're feeling. And now we're going to go ahead and hop over here into the comments because my man is not happy about them not visiting the restaurant. The top comment here from the restaurant, he said, everyone wants a 22% tip. Man, ain't that the truth? Everybody, you got a tip for everything. Did I just open the door for you? You got a tip. Did I just go ahead and pour my coffee for you? Did I pour that coffee for you? I'm literally telling you everybody wants a tip. Minimum, anything that you're doing, you're paying for it. And then the next comment we have, first, it's expensive as hell. We cannot remember the last time me and my wife went to a restaurant, and later we talked about how good the food was. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be real with you. I want to say the same. The cheap options of the fast food is the same prices.
All right, I'm going to post the link. You can listen to Hope in the Desert, and I subscribed, and you might want to come over and subscribe and support him. I've liked what he has had to say. But yeah, people are really going off the financial cliff in huge numbers now. You know, let's just listen to a few minutes. And Saks Realty, I will post the link. You might want to check out Saks Realty. There's, yeah, not too many people are saying that our economy is fabulous. And they continue to say that. They continue to say, even Biden said just recently that our economy is the strongest in the world. Well, if that's the truth, that means a whole lot of economies are doing worse. And we're doing really badly.
Well, let's talk about Jay Powell because he's not an economist.
I think he's the most effective con man we've had running the Fed for a long time. He has convinced the public that he knows what he's doing and that all this inflation we had was caused by unusual distortions from the pandemic, had nothing to do with him. It's just nonsense. The press is bought into this totally. Powell and the other influential central bankers basically tell them what to cover. It's all propaganda. Performance of the Fed has been a complete disaster, one of the worst performances that we've ever had. And now we have this huge contraction in the money supply. We've only had 4 contractions ever since the Fed was established in 1913, and all those led to recessions. One actually, the Great Depression. If it's not sustainable and you keep kicking it down the road, you're going to eventually meet the day of reckoning when the whole thing explodes.
Okay, so this man, John Hopkins, he was President Reagan's economics advisor, and he's renowned around the world. And he's speaking what our economy is in reality, okay? And a whole lot now are saying that a crash is imminent. Now, we've heard that throughout the years. I would not be surprised if a crash, that shit hits the fan scenario, it's hit the fan for countless millions already. But I understand what people mean by that. Will they pull the plug before the election or after the election? I was talking to the subscriber here, and her daughter said that she thinks Kamala Harris will win because the winning of Harris will cause far more chaos than Trump. And then again, the winning of Trump will cause the left to go berserk. Either way, we live chaos already. You may be comfortable and you might be in a little bubble, but the chaos is spreading all over the country. It's here. It's going to get an awful lot worse, and we know that. Yes, we do. So, yeah, that woman in Chicago was talking about how you need to leave the Democratic Party. It does not matter. It's the Matrix, and we have one party, okay? But for sure, the Democrats have shown how batshit crazy they are. So here, Majority Leader Gloria Romero, lifelong Democrat, switches parties. I was a liberal Democrat for decades. I walked away, but did not walk to the Republicans. It's really important for people to get out of this matrix. So, oof. Trump is not who a lot of people think he is. But people think that he is the great hero.
In this Capitol behind me, I served as both Senate Democratic Caucus Chair and the Senate Majority Leader. But today I say goodbye. Adios. I've had enough. I am now another near lifelong Democrat who is joining the growing number of people, including key groups like Latinos, who are leaving the Democratic Party. This is not the Democratic Party that I once championed. I do not recognize it anymore, and I cannot continue. I changed my voting registration today as the sun was rising to Republican, which has, under Donald Trump, become the champion of working people, the big tent. And indeed, I will vote for Donald Trump this fall. While there are several issues that I could highlight for this action, let me just list some that are most prominent. The so-called Party of Democracy eradicated 14 million votes, including mine, in order to install its preferred candidate, Vice President Kamala Harris. But even before that, the Democratic primaries were so rigged so as to prevent viable candidates like RFK Jr. from jumping into even campaign. Lawfare was utilized. At the end, similar to Latin American dictatorships, the dedazo was used to tap who the political elite and the big donors wanted to run. A political coup, in my opinion, was essentially executed. I have run, as have others here with me today. I have run for office in the past. And what message does this send? That if the donors and the elites don't like you, they can simply replace you with the candidate of their choice at any moment for any reason, undermining any semblance of democracy and the voters' will. I cannot take that. Indeed, I believe the Democratic Party has taken a giant leap to authoritarianism and censorship. It was President Reagan who warned that if fascism comes to America, it will come as liberalism. And as a former member of the executive board of the Southern California ACLU, individual freedoms are trapped, silenced by authoritarianism and censorship. That is not me. It is terrifying to see how language has been modified so that as a feminist and a former professor at California State University, I today would be condemned for saying that I can define a woman and distinguish between biological sex and gender identity. This is the so-called party of women, which has eradicated. Got it? Great job. This is the so-called party of women, which has eradicated Title IX protections for sports equity for women. While I am pro-choice, I will not support a party that advocates for abortion to full term. Also, I am a mother, and as a Latina, I refuse to call myself a birthing person. The Democratic Party has become the party of censorship, authoritarianism, and locking people up for free speech. The Democratic Party has abandoned our veterans at home to send millions and millions overseas. Today, the Republican Party has become the party of peace. While the
Oh my God, it is so not the party of peace. And this is where I'm like, okay, party of peace. I'm sorry. Oh, both parties. War-mongering psychopaths. How she could possibly say that is frightening. Trump is all for the killing of all Palestinians. So, yeah. And this Ovation Eddie, I'm putting the link in. Check them out. You'll probably want to subscribe. But here, I mean, this is deliberate. It's phony. It's an act. Whoever this actor is that's playing Biden, it's to humiliate Americans. Humiliate Americans. We are a joke. We have shown our true face, and it ain't pretty.
The ball both not. Sit down if you have seats. From the Coast Guard to the plumbers and pipe fitters is a good move. Because they know how to ball both now. Sit down if you have seats. We're the United.
Like, how do you top it off with this, right?
Well, it was another week of decline for Joe Biden.
Invest. So around from countries around, I travel from everywhere from North Korea, anyway, South Korea to across the world.
What the hell did you just say?
Invest. So around from countries around, I travel from everywhere from North Korea, anyway. Yeah. We are the greatest manufacturing city or county in the world, state in the world,
What in the hell was that all about?
We are the greatest manufacturing city or county in the world, state in the world, My wife Jill and I are mourning those 4 gunned down two, and some of the best workers in the world are right where we are. You know.
I don't understand a word you just said.
workers in the world are right that we where we are. We've gone from an economic crisis to the strongest economy in the world. Let me say it again.
Oh, we'll let you say it again, Joe. The problem is you don't seem to be able to say it again.
Oh, let me say it again. We have the strongest economy in the world, and no one challenges it. We have the strongest economy in the world. That's why Camel and I ensured that for the first time, Camel and I, not a joke, not one. So Camel and I, and many of these jobs don't require a college degree. In fact, Camel and I, look, Camel and I are expanded registered apprenticeships. Remember registered apprenticeships. Remember when the company said, we'll take care of the apprenticeships program? As they say, and so you done good with that, didn't you? Registered apprenticeship.
What the hell did you just say?
Registered apprenticeship resulting in hiring over just since we did it.
Having fun yet? Having fun yet? See, I understand, if we weren't living what we are living right now, I'd think it was funny. It's not funny. It's not funny. It shows the American people are just pathetic. Yeah. And this is what we get. And then we have Trump and Harris. It's, well, you get what you sit back and do nothing for. That's what you get. You get real destructive evil, and those who are behind all of the destruction, they love making you look like a complete and utter idiot, a pathetic idiot. They love doing that. And here we are, right? All right. I'm going to take off. I was listening to Revolution is Now, Caitlin Johnstone, and I'm actually going to play a few minutes.
The truth of the matter is that in the here and now, revolution is now. People are always asking me what we can do to fight the tyranny and depravity of the empire and create a healthy world. But what can we do, they ask. You always talk about the problems, but we need solutions. How do we solve the problems you keep pointing to? It's especially common during U.S. election season because I tend to spend a lot of time pointing to the fraudulent nature of Western electoral politics and saying Americans will never be able to vote their way out of their problems. Which is, of course, fair. If I'm saying not that way, it's a dead end, it's only fair that I should be asked which way actually leads to the exit. Trouble is, I talk about solutions all the time here, and I'm always practicing what I preach and leading by example. Some people just can't seem to hear what I'm saying. It goes in one ear and out the other, because I don't have any solutions that are as easy and immediate as cast your vote for Donald Trump, he'll fight the deep state, or cast your vote for Kamala Harris, she'll stop fascism. The truth of the matter is that in the here and now, there are no easy and immediate solutions to the problems we face in our world. The system is far too deeply entrenched, and people are far too deeply indoctrinated with propaganda to be persuaded to fight against it right now. And I emphasize the words right now. My solutions might not be easy or immediate, but unlike voting for Trump or Harris in November, they will actually work if put into practice in sufficient numbers. An effective solution that we can all begin applying in the here and now is working to foment a revolutionary zeitgeist by spreading awareness of the depravity and deceit of the empire. The primary obstacle to real change is the fact that far too many people are far too brainwashed by propaganda to rise up against our rulers. So our first task is to begin working to wake people up out of that propaganda-induced coma so that they can see how desperately real change is needed. The tyrants won't end their tyranny until they are forced to, and they can't be forced to as long as enough people are propagandized into believing things are fine. That's why so much energy goes into narrative control measures like mass media propaganda, censorship, government secrecy, the war on journalism, and Silicon Valley algorithm manipulation.
And we don't have the numbers that are sufficient. But an awful lot of Americans know, they know that things are not fine, and they sit back and do nothing. So we are, unfortunately, those who have taken some action, we go down, getting pulled down by those who are, chronically self-centered, and apathetic and only concerned about themselves. When you have a majority of the population in that condition, well, they're on the road of evil. They sure as hell are not on the side of good. The side of good you can see because good takes action. Okay, so there ain't going to be a revolution. It's just going to be this evil evolution that continues. Any revolution? Oh, that's with the people of the World Economic Forum and etc. And unfortunately, the revolution that is taking place right now is, a lot of very evil, subhuman people. Help those in your community because there's an awful lot of people hurting. More and more every day. More and more every day. And live honestly and speak honestly. And that's the crux of the matter. That's the solution. Because all of the problems that we are facing, they're all under the umbrella of the lie. And the people who accept all of the lies. And the people who sit around and don't do anything to counter the lie. If we were an honest people, we wouldn't be living what we're living. So, thank you for showing up. I do hope to see you tomorrow night. And do what you can. Reach out. Help out the food banks in your community, the animal shelters. And on that note, good night, good luck. Ciao, guys. I guess I'm still seen. I'm probably still heard. I hit end stream. Let me know if you can still see me. You can still see and hear me. Huh? Okay. This is different from OBS. Ta-da! All right, guys. Now I'm not there, but I'll give a few minutes for you guys to say goodnight to one another.